English Easy Podcast.
Welcome to the deep dive, everybody.
Glad to be here.
So picture this. It is 6:30 a.m. and your alarm goes off. You look at it, you blink, and you just say out loud to an empty room, "Nope, I quit today."
Oh, we've all been there.
Right. You drag yourself to the kitchen, but the coffee machine takes, 2 seconds too long to heat up. And in your head, you declare, "That's it, I quit coffee."
Just too much effort.
Exactly. Then you walk out the door, you see your bus driving away in the distance, and your brain immediately offers the most logical solution. Fine, I quit the bus. I guess I just live at this bus stop now.
I love that. That internal monologue of just, catastrophic surrender is incredibly common.
It really is.
We face one minor friction point, like a slow appliance or a misconnection, and our immediate cognitive response is just this dramatic, sweeping resignation.
But the profound reality of human behavior is that you don't actually move into the bus stop.
No, you don't.
You find another way to work. You buy a coffee on the way. You keep going.
Yeah, we are basically chronic micro-quitters in our minds, but reluctant continuers in our actions.
That tension, that feeling of wanting to give up at the absolute slightest inconvenience, but forcing ourselves to keep moving, that is the core of today's deep dive.
It's a great topic.
We are analyzing an excerpt from a YouTube channel called Speak English with Class. Specifically, we're looking at a session hosted by Anna and Jake, and it's titled English Podcast for Easy English Conversation, Start Your Day Right. Morning motivation.
And they really dig into some fascinating stuff here.
They do. Our mission today is to unpack the psychology of that morning friction. We're going to redefine what success actually demands of us, and we'll introduce a framework for building non-negotiable habits to sort of escape the modern rut.
Yeah, and that opening anecdote about the 6:30 a.m. alarm, that actually comes directly from Jake in the source material.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, he uses his own morning dramatic quitting to highlight a really crucial baseline. Basically, the simple fact that you are engaging with the world at all is your first victory.
I love that perspective.
So if you are listening to this right now, whether you're, packed onto a crowded commuter train, or mindlessly brushing your teeth, or even just staring at the ceiling feeling profoundly behind in life-pressing play, means you haven't actually quit.
Right. The friction's there, but the momentum continues. You showed up.
Exactly.
So let's look at the cultural baggage we carry around the word success, because I feel like it heavily influences that friction we feel.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge factor.
We've been so conditioned by, movie montages to expect a cinematic payoff.
Right, the whole training montage with the upbeat music.
Yes. When we picture succeeding at a goal, we visualize a big stage, bright lights, people screaming our name, massive bank accounts. It's always loud and it's always sudden.
And what's fascinating here is that cinematic expectation creates a really dangerous psychological trap.
How so?
Well, when our daily efforts don't produce immediate applause, we just assume the effort itself is flawed.
Oh, I see. We think we're doing it wrong because nobody is clapping.
Exactly. But the reality presented by Anna and Jake is that true progression is brutally quiet.
Brutally quiet. I like that phrasing.
It really is the act of continuing when the process is painfully slow, entirely boring, and basically invisible to the outside world.
Because nobody is throwing a parade for you when you are reviewing vocabulary flashcards alone at 10 p.m.
No, they are not. There is zero audience for your early morning jog.
Anna actually illustrates this perfectly with a story about one of her language students.
Right, the relentless student.
Yes. This student was not naturally gifted at languages. She wasn't the standout star of the class or anything like that. But Anna describes her with one specific word: relentless.
Which is such a powerful word.
It is. And her method was shockingly minimal. She basically sent her teacher a 30-second English voice note every single day for 30 days.
Just 30 seconds.
Half a minute. She could be exhausted, she could be stressed from work or sick, but she transmitted those 30 seconds no matter what.
And notice the contrast between that approach and the typical, burst of new goal enthusiasm.
Right, the people who go all in on day one.
Yeah, Anna mentions the other students who make these grand sweeping declarations. They promise to study for an entire hour every single day.
Because they're fueled by that initial thrill of the goal.
Exactly. But what happens a week later?
They're barely giving 30% effort.
Right. They become completely half-hearted.
Meanwhile, the student doing the 30-second voice note completely transformed her spoken English. After a month, she was relaxed, her tone was confident, and her fear of making mistakes had basically vanished.
We can actually look at the underlying neurology to understand why the grand promise fails and the micro habit succeeds.
Oh, I'd love to hear the brain science behind this.
Yeah.
Is it like a tortoise and hare scenario?
It's exactly like that. But with neurotransmitters, when you announce, I'm going to study an hour a day, your brain releases a massive wave of dopamine just from the ambition.
So it feels good just to plan it.
It feels great. But when it comes time to execute, an hour of focused cognitive strain is highly metabolically expensive.
Meaning it takes a lot of energy.
Huge amounts of energy, so the brain resists it. The 30-second voice note, however, demands almost zero activation energy.
It's too small to fail.
Exactly. It slips right past the amygdala's threat detection system. That student wasn't just learning English, she was engaging in daily neuromyelination.
Neuromyelination, what's that?
It's basically insulating the pathways in her brain associated with speaking a new language. And doing that systematically dismantled her fear response.
Wow. So society celebrates the half-hearted sprinters because huge overnight changes are exciting to talk about. But it is the quiet, low-stakes repetition that actually changes the brain.
Yes, it's the compound interest of habit building. And that neurological trick of sneaking past the brain's alarm system becomes critical when we face genuinely intimidating goals.
Because standing at the bottom of a major life change is terrifying.
It really is.
You want to move to a new country, or pivot your entire career, or pass a C1 language exam, or honestly, even just try to run 5 kilometers when you currently get winded walking up a flight of stairs.
Which feels like 5,000 kilometers in that moment.
Exactly. The gap between where you are and where you want to be just looks unbridgeable.
Well, Anna and Jake bring in a really great concept from a running coach to deconstruct that paralysis.
The mountain of small rocks.
Right. The coach tells his runners, this mountain is not one big rock, it is many small rocks.
Which completely shifts the entire cognitive load.
It really does. If you wake up and tell yourself, I must become a runner today, the energetic cost is just too high. You will stay in bed.
But if the requirement is simply put on running shoes and jog for 5 minutes, the resistance drops.
Exactly. A massive wall is just a sequence of single bricks. So for that C1 exam, it's one new vocabulary word today, one short listening exercise tomorrow. You don't have to jump from 0 to 5 kilometers in a single day.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit more. Because to guarantee those small rocks actually get stacked, the source introduces the mechanism of the non-negotiable habit.
Yes, the non-negotiables. This is key.
An action that is entirely removed from your daily decision-making process. Like, you don't wake up, hold a mental committee meeting, and debate the pros and cons of brushing your teeth.
Right, you just brush them. It's an automated baseline.
And the argument is that your daily step toward the mountain, whether it's reading 1 page or writing 2 sentences, has to achieve that same automated status. It just happens, regardless of your motivation level.
Exactly. It's not up for debate.
But wait, I have a practical pushback here. If I apply that logic to my entire life, I am going to hit a wall.
What do you mean?
Well, if I decide my workout, my reading time, my language study, and my meal prep are all strictly non-negotiable, I'm completely draining my willpower by Tuesday.
Oh, for sure.
Building a highly militant, rigid routine sounds exhausting. Isn't that a fast track to burnout?
You would absolutely burn out because decision fatigue and willpower depletion are real biological constraints. You can't ignore them.
So how do we balance that?
The mistake most people make is trying to automate 10 behaviors all at once. The secret embedded in this strategy isn't about controlling every minute of your day. It is about selecting one singular, tiny anchor.
Just one small rock.
Just one. You establish one tiny, non-negotiable action. Because it's so small, it doesn't exhaust your cognitive reserves.
Like the 30-second voice note.
Precisely. And more importantly, executing that one tiny thing every day builds a crucial psychological asset, which is self-trust.
You start to view yourself as someone who actually follows through.
Right. You become a person who keeps promises to themselves. And that foundational self-trust then naturally bleeds into other areas of your life without requiring sheer force of will.
Okay, that makes sense. But even once we have that single non-negotiable anchor, we still have to deal with our own internal resistance.
Oh, yeah. The mind is incredibly skilled at generating excuses.
It really is. Even with a tiny goal, we find ways to sabotage the process.
And this requires an honest look at our attitude, particularly how we respond to adversity. The source distinguishes between legitimate hardship and the narratives we build around it.
Right. Because it is crucial to acknowledge that life can be genuinely unfair. Bad bosses exist. Layoffs happen. Illnesses derail lives.
The pain of those events is very real.
Yes. But the danger lies in letting that real pain mutate into an identity. Anna and Jake talk about the trap of sitting on the fence.
The fence sitters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You aren't fully acting as a helpless victim, but you definitely aren't stepping up as the captain of your life either.
You're just stuck in this sort of purgatory.
Exactly. Just complaining, scrolling through social media, and waiting for external circumstances to miraculously improve.
And what's fascinating here is that fence-sitting state breeds a very specific type of self-sabotage.
Oh, the spreadsheet story. I have to share this.
Please do. It's so relatable.
Jake shares this hilarious and painfully recognizable story from the source. He wanted to get in shape right. So he spent 6 months meticulously designing a beautiful, color-coded Excel spreadsheet to track his exercises.
6 months.
6 months. He formulated the cells, created drop-down menus, scheduled perfect routines. He built an absolute masterpiece of an organizational system.
Yeah, and how many workouts did he do?
In those 6 months, he did not complete a single physical workout.
Not one.
He had the spreadsheet of an Olympian and the physical output of a sloth. It's the ultimate paradox.
That phenomenon perfectly exposes a flaw in our neurochemistry.
How so?
Well, the human brain evolved to conserve energy at all costs. When Jake was building that spreadsheet, his brain was releasing dopamine, rewarding him for the complex planning.
So he felt productive without doing the hard part.
Exactly. It gave him the emotional satisfaction of working out without demanding a single calorie of actual physical exertion.
That is wild.
We inherently crave comfort. We want the sofas, the phones, the familiar routines, the soft blankets. We want the frictionless path.
But the future, stronger version of yourself lives entirely outside that comfort zone.
It does. And stepping out of that comfort zone is deeply intimidating. Jake talks about finally going to the gym at age 40.
Right. He calls it an uphill battle.
Yeah. You walk into a room full of people who look like seasoned athletes, and you feel incredibly out of place. He uses the phrase feeling like a cute potato among superheroes.
A cute potato. I love that.
Mm.
But the psychological hurdle there is immense.
Huge. The awkwardness of being a beginner at 30, 40, or 50, it triggers our social threat sensors. Evolutionarily, standing out or appearing incompetent in a group signaled real danger.
So that's why we feel so self-conscious.
Exactly. But that discomfort is not a sign to stop it, is the required currency for adaptation.
That connects directly to the source's mantra. Uncomfortable now, stronger later.
I love that mantra.
It reminds me of the physiological response to taking a cold shower. You step under the water, and it's a massive shock to the system.
Your body just panics.
Right. Your nervous system screams at you to step out, find a towel, find warmth. You basically want to yell, snap out of it, to your lazy voice.
Yeah.
But you have to actively suppress that primal urge to escape.
But that shock is what forces your cardiovascular system to adapt.
Exactly. And when you step out, you feel an undeniable surge of alertness.
Yeah.
It makes you feel alive.
That is the exact biological mechanism of growth. Whether it is micro tears in muscle tissue from lifting weights or the cognitive strain of forming new neural networks while learning a language, adaptation requires a stressor.
You have to face the cold shower of discomfort.
You must introduce that cold shower of awkwardness, or your system has no biological reason to improve.
But sometimes we aren't disciplined enough to choose the cold shower ourselves. Sometimes the shock is forced upon us unexpectedly.
Right, we don't opt into the discomfort. Life just throws it at us.
And how do we take that shock and turn a corner? The source material categorizes those moments as wake-up calls.
Wake-up calls are powerful disruptors.
They are. A wake-up call could be a doctor looking at your blood work and giving you a stark, severe warning about your health.
Or it could be a quieter, more intimate shock, like a child asking for help with their homework, and you realize you can't provide the answer because you don't know it.
Those moments are incredibly painful. They shatter your illusion of stability.
While they hurt, those forced shocks are gifts, because they demand that you examine your trajectory and, as Anna and Jake phrase it, flip the script.
Okay, let's explore what flipping the script actually means, because it sounds a bit like corporate jargon, but it's deeper than that.
It's about actively rewriting your internal narrative.
So if your default story is, I always quit when things get hard, flipping the script means consciously enforcing the thought, I am currently learning how to finish things.
Right. Or if the story is, I'm too old to start a new career, you rewrite it to, I bring a wealth of prior experience to this new beginner stage.
And if you don't harness the energy of that wake-up call to flip the script, you risk sliding into what they call a rut.
Yes. The rut is the ultimate manifestation of the brain's desire to conserve energy.
It's the endless, unhelpful loop of modern existence. You wake up, you commute, work, commute home, doom scroll on your phone until your eyes burn, sleep, and do it all again.
It's basically a state of being functionally asleep while your eyes are open.
Totally stagnant. But this brings up a deeply philosophical question for me, based on the source.
What's that?
Escaping the rut requires self-awareness, right? But our modern environment actively suppresses that. If I'm trapped in that endless loop, my cognitive bandwidth is entirely consumed.
By the noise.
Exactly. My phone is constantly firing notifications, the news cycle is relentlessly urgent, and I have this internalized Instagram voice constantly broadcasting what my life is supposed to look like.
It's exhausting.
It is. So how do we even figure out what new script we want to write if we can't even hear ourselves think?
The solution offered by the source is actually counterintuitive because it involves removing inputs entirely. The most powerful remedy is silence.
Literally just cutting the feed.
Taking a walk without your phone, or simply sitting in a chair and staring out a window for 10 minutes.
Just 10 minutes.
Just 10 minutes. The reason this works goes back to brain network dynamics. When you are constantly consuming external information, your brain's attention networks are outwardly focused.
Always processing something new.
Right. But the moment you remove all external stimuli, your brain activates the default mode network.
The default mode network, what does that do?
It's the network responsible for self-reflection, autobiographical memory, and projecting into the future. That silence forces the external voices, your boss, social media, societal expectations, to just recede.
Allowing your actual, true inner voice to surface.
Exactly. And that inner voice is usually the one holding the hard, honest questions we've been trying to drown out.
Questions like, if I continue like this for the next 5 years, will I actually be happy?
It forces an honest audit of your trajectory. The silence doesn't attack you, it simply provides the unvarnished truth of your current position.
Wow. So pulling all of these insights together, the anatomy of real progress starts to look very different from the flashy, loud montages we are sold.
It's not glamorous at all.
No. True success is incredibly quiet. It is built by refusing to be a victim and willingly stepping into the awkward, uphill battle of being a beginner, even when you feel like a cute potato.
Especially when you feel like a cute potato.
It's about recognizing the illusion of the color-coded spreadsheet, stepping out of the mindless daily rut, and slowly stacking your mountain of small rocks through one tiny, non-negotiable daily habit.
It is trusting that relentless, low-stakes consistency will always outpace the dramatic, half-hearted sprint.
Taking a cue directly from Anna and Jake's original mission, we want you, the listener, to engage with that process today. Just show up today.
Find your small rock.
Identify it. Record a 20-second voice note about your morning. Write 3 sentences in a notebook. Make one tiny, boring decision today that establishes a baseline of trust with your future self that your future self will thank you for.
And as you establish that baseline, consider the profound implication of the silence we discuss.
Right.
The source urges you to sit without distraction for 10 minutes, allowing your honest inner voice to surface and ask those difficult questions about your future.
Just 10 minutes of quiet.
But consider this once the noise clears and that quiet inner voice finally speaks up and tells you exactly what needs to change in your life. What is the ultimate cost of pretending you never heard it at all?
You can always hit snooze on the alarm. You can complain about the friction of the morning. You can declare that you quit before the day even really begins.
The choice is yours.
But ultimately, you have to decide if you are going to stay in the comfort of the rut or if you're going to put on your shoes and start quietly stacking the rocks.